Alright, here we have a 97 Saturn. This is an SL2. We're going to replace the starter on this. I'm going to show you it's bad. This will work for any Saturn, any S-Series Saturn. Alright, in the car, we turn the key and it just started working, so you can hear the clicking. That's the noise that we're after. So the starter is intermittently failing right now. I don't believe anything's wrong with the connections. I believe it is 100% the starter, but we'll go under and we'll confirm. So before we do this, some things you should try first to confirm that it is the starter. Now I have a whole video on how to diagnose a crank no start. Take a look at that. Go through those steps. Those same steps apply here. So on this Saturn, the starter is in the back of the car, just under the intake manifold. If you could see it just over there. That's where it bolts into the transmission bell housing. Now in this instance, when I turned the key, I heard a click. That click is the starter relay engaging or turning on, exciting. And then nothing from the starter motor. That tells me the wiring, at least to the starter relay, is fine, so I don't need to look there. Now let's look at the wiring from the starter relay to the motor itself. And I don't know how well I can show you, but on this car, I believe it's the purple wire. The starter solenoid is right here, and then there's a wire that jumps from there to a terminal that plugs into the starter. That wire can sometimes go bad. Normally it's like a braided wire or something kind of a little thick. That wire can sometimes get corroded and go bad, but on this instance, even though I can't show you, it looks like a complete connection, so we don't have any issues there. I disconnected the positive and the negative cables, tucked them out of the way. Now we can safely disconnect the wiring at the starter. Okay, so better look at the starter here. You see up here we have terminals. There's gonna be two terminals we need to disconnect. The purple wire and then this big one with the green wire sticking out, and then the battery positive that also tees off of it. So these two terminals we want to remove. I believe the green one, or the purple one, is a 10 millimeter, and I think the bigger one is a 13. So we'll take them off and then we'll work on the starter bolt. So both these nuts aren't on there that tight. They're pretty easy to remove. So once you get them started, get them off with your finger the rest of the way. Put the nuts in a safe spot, because your new starter may or may not come with hardware. So we'll stick that green wire out of the way. Now the purple one. Got that nut, put it to the side. Purple wire can come off the terminal. Now we have the battery positive terminal, and that just slides forward. I read that it helps having the battery positive cable disconnected from the battery. That way you have a little bit of wiggle room. So I have this disconnected and I had plenty of room, so whether that's required or not, it at least definitely did not hurt. So now let's get the starter itself removed. I believe it's just two bolts. I see one here and I'd be willing to bet the other one's on the other side. But pro tip, reference the new starter to see exactly where the bolts are. So the bottom bolt, again, we're using the same ratchet. This is a 13 millimeter. We'll get that out. I'm gonna leave it in. I'm not gonna fully take it out. That way I can get to the top one without worrying about this wiggling around. Okay, and I had to bring out a longer ratchet and put extension on it, and 13 millimeter. Snuck it in and I got it loose. So let's pull this starter out. Bolts are out and this should slide right out. There we go. And a good reason why you check. You compare the parts, old versus new. And as you see, the tip here, it's covered, has a little case. This one is exposed. I ran the part number 17229. This is for a Honda Civic. So either someone swapped the parts in here and I just got unlucky, or they just gave me the wrong part at the parts store. Gotta make a quick run back. Back with a new starter. This time it was the appropriate match, but you can see this one's quite a bit larger. Everything is just longer, the solenoid is bigger, The bolts are unnecessarily long, but the connections and everything seem to be the same. So let's go with that. Let's throw this in and see how it does. And the new one's installed, so you install it just like you remove the old one. Everything's tightened up. We got our 3 connectors, so the 2 for the top B plus terminal and then the 1 in the back, the purple wire. And these are good to go. Let's reconnect the battery, put the car on the ground and test it out. Car in the air still. Starts just fine. Now final test, car's on the ground. It still fires up immediately. The starter totally sounds different, but that's to be expected. But as long as it starts, we're good. All the connections are good, nice and tight. So that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.